Hello, friends. I'm in the sanctuary getting ready for tomorrow's worship, which will be transmitted in several different ways. You've probably already gotten the email, I hope, that in which I shared that we will have a Zoom aspect of our worship tomorrow, which means that you can sign in and then see the other people who are at our worship and be able to speak, which will be nice for me. I really miss having that back and forth capability. And I think, I know a lot of you miss seeing each other, so it will be nice to be able to see one another for those of you who care to join that way. The link is in the email, and if you did not get it, just send me a message and I will be sure that you get it. We will also do the Facebook live stream on my Facebook page and on the Drew Church page. So you can find us there if you just want to watch, and either one will be fine. And I look forward to joining you tomorrow. We will be celebrating Holy Communion tomorrow. And some of you might be wondering, how can we do that? It's been a conversation among many in the church community, among bishops and pastors and others who have weighed in on whether or not we can share communion when we are all separate from one another. Here are my thoughts that I'd like to share with you. When Jesus first had what we now call Holy Communion, it was a Passover meal. He used the elements that were there at hand: unleavened bread and wine. And he said, "Do this in remembrance of me." He didn't say how we should do it in remembrance or what we should use in remembrance. He just said, "Do it in remembrance of me." When we share in Holy Communion, we proclaim that we are united not only with the Spirit of the living Christ, but with all those who have gone before us in faith, and those who are living now, and those who will come after us. It's one of the beautiful things that I love about communion, thinking about those who have been so special in my life, who have gone on to their heavenly reward, with whom I can be connected spiritually. So if we, when we share communion, are proclaiming that we are united beyond time and space, well then to me it means naturally that however we partake in the bread or whatever we may use, and the cup and whatever may be in it, however we do that, it is our intention that is blessed by God. A God who is beyond time and space, a God who doesn't, I think, care what kind of elements we might be using. That's my opinion. Not everybody would agree with that, but that is why, for me, I believe that when we share in communion in our own homes, separate as we are right now, we can share in communion, because the Spirit of the living Christ is with all of us, no matter where we are. His Spirit is with us. And so we are united when we share in that bread, in that cracker, in that roll, in that muffin. And we share in the cup of whatever it might be. There are some religious folks who think that unless a clergy's hands have been upon the bread and the cup, then it doesn't count. I don't get that. Jesus didn't ordain his disciples to go and do these things. He didn't say only counted if somebody special put a blessing on those elements. And in the early church, there weren't ordained people. Not until much later. In the Methodist Church in this country, it was a controversy in the early decades. because there were not ordained Methodists. They had come over from England, and there weren't a lot of ordained people initially. And so there were some who said, well, you can't have communion, you can't serve communion to all of these people who are coming to hear you preach unless you have an ordained person to come and bless the elements. But finally, some people thought, well, that doesn't make any sense. I have all of these people who want to share in the supper of my Lord, of our Lord, so let's just do it. And so they did. So it may not be comfortable for some, and maybe even not for you. And that's okay too. What I want you to know, and hope that you will know, that even if you are not picking up bread or whatever and a cup with whatever, that the Spirit of the living Christ is still with you. And that when we share this together tomorrow, we will be united in the Spirit of the living Christ, whether we are partaking physically of anything or whether we are just taking it in spiritually. One of the beautiful things about Zoom is that we will be able to see one another as we share in the bread and the cup. And so I do hope that you will join us by Zoom. But if not, just know that we are united as one, which is so important to remember and hold on to in these times when we may feel so scattered. Still, I do miss seeing all of you here in our sanctuary, and I look forward to the day when we will be able to gather in whatever way that might be. And we don't know that quite yet. But hopefully at the end of this month, we will be able to worship again here, practicing safe social distancing as much as we can, and still making sure everything is sanitized and all of those things. But we'll let you know as time moves forward in the next couple of weeks. I look forward to worshiping with you tomorrow, either by Zoom or on our Facebook live stream. And I look forward to seeing you in person sometime soon. And I pray that you are all well or will be well if you are not, and that your families and loved ones are also well. Know that I am praying for you and that we are one in the Spirit of the living Christ. Peace and blessings to you. Thank you.